We have a very active weather pattern that continues to unfold as we have another winter storm that likely could develop by the time we head into Thursday of this upcoming week. But the first snowstorm is still ongoing and it's already left some impressive snowfall totals. We had an area of low pressure that really amplified as we headed into Saturday night, especially into Sunday yesterday. Some of these places in Kansas actually picked up 18 inches of snowfall, but you can see the legend on the far right hand corner of the screen. Plenty of areas picked up 8 to 12 inches and a little bit lighter amounts as you swung eastbound, but still pretty impressive snowfall totals for that first system, especially that it continues to snow in some of these areas that are expected to continue all the way through later on tonight. But we have yet a second system that's likely to develop as we head into Wednesday night. We'll be looking for another area of low pressure that's going to be developing in Mexico. That is going to be ejecting across Texas into Arkansas. They could have their own winter storm with heavy snow and some ice associated with that storm. So if you're new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel to keep you well ahead of the storm. So here's where we still have winter storm warnings in place. These go on until later this afternoon into the nighttime, but we still could be looking at more heavy snow within this region and some more accumulated ice. Still windy conditions for those areas that had some severe storms yesterday. Now they're getting some rain and heavier activity with the wind, with the Arctic blast that went through, with the colder conditions that actually sunk all the way down into the deep south. And there are some real-time temperatures this morning, and that Arctic blast came to fruition in a big way because it sunk all the way down into Texas and a good part of the deep south with the coldest air mass of the season. Yeah, they're checking in below zero this morning from that snowpack in Kansas. 14 in Oklahoma City, 21 was the low in Dallas. So yes, they definitely felt that colder air mass that continues to funnel in from the north. So here's your precipitation over the next 48 hours. So we're still going to have that ongoing storm that's going to continue for those areas into Kentucky and to West Virginia, swinging across areas of the Carolinas, back along into the East Coast. We'll have another little system that's going to develop into tomorrow and Wednesday morning into Colorado. They'll have some snow associated with that area, but overall it's fairly dry for the rest of the country back behind that Arctic front, which is typically the driest air mass you can get. But where we are going to be getting some additional snow for the next 2 days, but this is between now and Wednesday morning. Yes, we'll have additional snow on compounding of those snow amounts that I told you already. We could be looking at yet another, 1 to 3 inch, some even higher amounts as this continue to move across Virginia, those areas in Pennsylvania, DC, Baltimore, into New Jersey, Delaware. Those areas could pick up some 5, 6, 7 inch totals before all this is said and done. And then there's that new system that's going to be coming in across the Rockies that's going to be ringing out some snow showers for those areas in and around Denver. Could pick up about another 2 to 4 inches of snow with that particular setup. And here's some additional ice that is expected. Unfortunately, we had a lot of ice already. We've got power outages to deal with. We're still going to be inundated with that in the middle of this winter storm between now and then tonight. And I think it winds down into the overnight time frame tonight. But the cold will lock in. So we're looking for a second piece of energy because this ridging is going to be starting to build over the top. So this is going to be sending those pulses of colder air that's going to be funneling down in from Canada and to get it trapped underneath. So this second boundary has left a pretty good snowpack for those areas across the Central Plains. And as that second surge of colder air funnels down into the deep south, that new area of low pressure that's going to be developed in Mexico, this air mass is going to be cold enough now to have, once that air mass hits, to form into some snow showers within that corridor starting on Wednesday night, but especially as we head into Thursday morning for those areas into Texas, we'll be looking at a kind of an ideal setup for those areas across the deep south. We'll have rain coming in, so we'll have the warm injection from the south. You'll have a warmer air aloft. It's about 35 degrees, about 5,000 feet up above the atmosphere. That will fall, and then shallow air sinks from the Arctic, and that will freeze on contact. So I'm looking at some freezing rain, likely south of the I-20 corridor, south of Dallas, likely in the Waco region, those areas into Austin. Some freezing rain, wintry precipitation for those areas into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Northbound, looking at all snow, and some of this could get some heavier snow, especially as we get deeper into the day and going into tonight, going into Thursday night. Some of this could be definitely some heavier snows that's going to break across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex into Northeast Texas, those areas into Oklahoma, back into the Panhandle. You'll have a little bit a gradient where you're going to have some of that freezing rain, wintry mix. And for those areas even further south, San Antonio, Houston, those areas will likely just get kind of a chillier rain, if you will. So as this continues to lift up to the Northeast, we'll still compounding with that snow continuing to unfold through areas back into Kansas again, as well as into Missouri, those areas into Arkansas. Now we're talking areas into Western Tennessee. We'll have that gradient where that freezing line will, unfold right around northern areas of Mississippi, back into, eastern areas of Tennessee. And as this will continue to lift up to the Northeast, we'll have that kind of a warmer injection, right? Coming in from the south. That's when you have that battle zone kind of in the middle again. We'll be looking at some more icy, slushy mix setup into the Carolinas, and then it'll just be all snow again back into West Virginia, into Virginia. But overall, this is a pretty bullish setup. I mean, this has been pretty consistent with a lot of models for those areas and across the deep south into Texas. I mean, this is the EPS guidance, right? This is a summary of all the European members. And when you're spitting out 60% probabilities of getting 6 inches or more snow within the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that is pretty impressive, folks, for them. I mean, they only consider they average about 1.7 inches a year. So you're talking to potentially 4 times the average snowfall they get in an entire season off one event. So this would be a big event for Texas standards, to say the least, as it's looking pretty impressive with this potentially winter storm that's going to be moving across Texas on Thursday, likely winding down on Friday as it's going to be moving into Oklahoma. It does reach into areas of northern areas of, Shreveport, but does include pretty much the entire state of Arkansas. So yeah, the latest run of the European guidance has been fairly consistent with this storm, just kind of blowing up in a bullseye, basically right over the Metroplex. We could have another heavier snow swath somewhere in the vicinity of Northeast Texas, but you get the idea. I mean, we're looking for a lot of snow within the deep south as this continues to lift northeast. We'll have lighter amounts, likely 3 to 5 inches amounts in Arkansas and Missouri, back into Illinois again. And then what looks to be, we have another impressive shot of some stalling out on this system potentially could yield some heavier snowfall totals, and the GFS is pretty much on board. So we've got both of the global guidances, even for this second system, and a lot of the ensemble guidance as well has been honing in on this second snowstorm that's going to likely start to come together on Wednesday night, and those areas would likely be under a winter storm watch and then eventually a winter storm warning as we get closer into Thursday. So expect a lot of travel delays and a lot of impacts within Texas, especially central and north Texas, and then getting into Oklahoma, those areas into Arkansas, dealing with that second round of that winter storm. But the cold air just traps in, folks. I mean, this is going to be a cold week ahead, likely the coldest of the season so far. You expect it to be cold. This is typically your coldest time of the year. So if you compound the coldest time of the year on top of temperature anomalies of already on average of 15 degrees below average for over a 7-day period, that is definitely a colder spell for a good part of the country. And Alaska turns warm, and over the top turns warm. So that's usually a setup when you see that. You get warming over the top, traps the colder air underneath, and that's exactly what's going to unfold between now and the next 7 days for your week ahead. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update while I protect you before and after the storm.